Hey guys, this is Matt Bailey with the Foul Pursuit Podcast. Today I am joined with Mr. Eric Gibbs. How you doing, Eric?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. Glad to hear that. So, tell everybody just a little bit about yourself, Eric.
Yeah, man. I grew up. I'm an Arkansas native. I grew up in the west part of the state. Kind of lived all around the South, both professionally and fun. Right, I've chased ducks around the South, all the way up to Canada. But I played a little professional golf out of school, so I had a lot of downtime in the winter. So I got to obviously do what I love. And post golf, I worked at FedEx for a while. We lived in Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana. So really got to enjoy what each of those states had to offer foul wise. And now I'm in a different role now with a different company. I'm a VP of sales at a company called LogoJet. So we do high end customization, UV printing, but that's what pays the bills. My hobby is duck hunting. I'm a guide on the side, and then we have a private club in Arkansas as well. So
Okay, so you've been around a little bit everywhere in your younger days, huh?
yeah,
That's very neat. So who do you guide for on the side?
yeah. So I've got a couple of friends that own Duxmen Outfitters. It's a lodge in Northeast Arkansas. Phenomenal lodge. They stay booked a year and a half in advance, and I just take their overflow to help them out a little bit. We've got a private club that's right down the road. We're out of Cache, Arkansas, so I'm fortunate. I can pretty much live at camp for 60 days a year. And so during the week, a lot of our club members are obviously back where they live. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking for for guns, and then it just so works out I can help them out on the side as well.
Well, that's good. So you're very fortunate that you can stay there all 60 days. You can kind of keep things held down while everybody else is gone for sure. Um, so do y'all? I know you said the Duxman Outfitters they stay pretty booked up for year and a half out now. Do you pretty much guide most of the days of the 60 days, or do you kind of just split it up whenever they have overflow? Then you'll pick up the slack for it pretty much.
Yeah, I just try to help out their overflow. Duxman itself has I want to say seven or so full-time guides, and I'm just overflow. They want to hunt with Duxman. We
Mm-hmm.
lease all of our ground from Delta Leases, which is basically Duxman. It's a side business for them, but so I've gotten to know these guys over the years. Very trustworthy. Their brand is impeccable. It's Arkansas over time has changed a lot in the hunting world, right? Everybody wants
Mm-hmm.
to come here, and duck hunting's tough, right? So, I was on Facebook last night, and I was seeing a bunch of people looking for guides last second. Well, if you're looking for a guide now, and they've got availability, that's a
Yeah,
red
there's
flag,
there's there's a reason
right?
for it. Yeah, there's a
that,
reason for it for sure.
there's a reason for it, and these guys are very honest, very transparent with what's going on bird wise, and that's how they've always been with me leasing wise, and we just kind of lucked into to meeting them a few years back and developing good relationships, and
Hmm.
yeah, great guys.
Okay, yeah, and I know you said that you've been pretty much a lifelong duck hunter. We was talking a little bit earlier. Now, how long have you been actually guiding for them?
Just a couple years for them. I grew up guiding all through Southeast Arkansas, though.
Hmm.
So I guess when I was 17 or 18, I started guiding for various outfits just across the state. But now mainly I buddy hunt, and we've actually developed a great club over the years. It's there can be a lot of drama in duck clubs, right? You get a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
people go limits every day, or they're not happy with the land or the setup, and so I'm very blessed to have a good group that I've developed just over through other hunting clubs or work or whatever it may be. So this year we've got 8 members. We've got a couple here local, but they range anywhere from Georgia, South Carolina, all the way obviously to Arkansas. So
That's good. Good. Um, yeah, that would be the job to have. And I think that's anybody's dream is to be able to do it. 60 days a week or 60 days out of the year. full time. So what are y'all? I've talked to several people from out that way, Arkansas, Mississippi Delta, all that. And what are you seeing personally as far as bird numbers this time of year, water level? I know we're in a big drought right now. What's your opinion on all that?
So this is the second year in a row. I mean, if you fly over the Mississippi, it is dangerously low,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we faced same thing last year. We had to pay a ton for diesel to get our fields pumped. And if you're fortunate enough to have the cash flow to pump, day in, day out until it gets flooded right, opening week, man, it's a barrel burner, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
having success. But a lot of people they spend all this money on lease and or leases, and then they can't afford to keep paying over a certain amount because most leases have a cap on how much diesel that is included in that cost. And so we are seeing bird numbers right now. The scare for us is that there's not enough water to keep them, right? I was talking
Mm-hmm.
to some buddies in Louisiana last night, and they've got a bunch of specks right now. They've got a bunch of ducks. Typically we hold a bunch of birds, but there's just not a lot of water. So we've got speck season opening in a little over 24 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be very I'm very curious to see if birds are sticking around because I've heard mixed stories.
Gotcha. Are you going to be out there spec hunting, or you just going to hold off for the duck season?
Well, no, we'll spec hunt. So this is always work weekend for us. So I've got all my members coming in, and so we've got the brushing duty, the snake killing duty, all the
Mm-hmm.
above. So,
Oh yeah,
you know,
there's still a bunch of snakes out there. I'll be happy whenever they get going.
right.
So how many acres does your, and for people that don't know, the duck club we're talking about is Whispering Willows, and y'all do have an Instagram page. But how many acres and kind of how many members and stuff like that do y'all have? Do y'all have any openings for anybody that might be interested, or?
So we typically fluctuate. We've got a good group of people together. This year, we may have one or two open every year. It all depends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Financially, everybody's in a different season of life, and lease costs have gone up,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. So, we're full this year, but it's taken for anybody out there that wants to lease. Obviously you've got to have trustworthy guys to do it from because unfortunately the sport of duck hunting has become a cash cow for many,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
People, if they have the land, they can put water on it, put a blind on it. They're going to charge you $6,000 to $10,000, and you may not fire a shot,
Oh
right?
exactly.
So I've been fortunate enough to grow up in that area. I know, obviously the good areas, and I've got some trustworthy guys that I lease from. But yeah, so acreage wise, we have I don't know the exact acreage, but we've got three fields. They're all in rice this year. We're pumped. We've got one field that we can basically hunt 12. I've got two pits side by side. We don't like to hunt that many, but if you get a bunch, a big goose feed in there or something, obviously you want the guns. And the other two just again pits in levees per
Mm-hmm.
se. We've got a little timber block that's on the edge of a rice field. The Beavers kind of played a game with us last year. I think we've got those figured out
Mm.
this year. So it's always good 2 or 3 times a year, but we're hoping to really expand on that. I mean, just because we have all this too, I'm a public chaser, man. I love it. It's an adrenaline rush. I'm
Yeah.
37 now, but I still sleep at the boat
That's
ramp.
that's what I
And
do most of the time. I get it.
I,
Um, but yeah, and I've also I've contemplated and I've kicked it around with some buddies of mine because we're all from North Alabama and we've past 2 or 3 years we've talked about getting a lease up there in Arkansas, but we've just never really pulled the trigger on it. For one, being down here, it's hard to find somebody that is trustworthy that's just not going to take your money and you don't see a bird all year. So we may, and I've talked to some duck clubs thinking about joining, but I'm like, I have a hard time of going somewhere where I can't because I got probably 4 or 5 guys that hunt with me all the time, and if we all can't go, it's kind of like I love doing it, but at the same time, it's I want to bring them with me. So, and I know a lot of clubs you can bring one guest or one or two guests, whatever. But it's just I think it's more of the camaraderie that I love the most with my guys. So if we go out to public land and whatever happens, we're gonna we'll laugh about it and remember it for a long time. So that's probably what's holding me back as far as getting into a lease. or a duck club. Now, if we can find a lease within the next few years, we may do it. We, like I said, we've kicked it around several times. We just never pulled the trigger. Um, we do a lot of day leases up there from time to time, which those in itself is 50-50. You can either get on a good one or you can get on a bad one. I've had them both ways. But that's kind of the route that we usually take. Excuse me.
And I tell everybody to be mobile, right?
Oh yeah,
The people that are getting a lease and expect to hunt it 60 days a year. I mean, even our best fields, if I get 7 good hunts out of them, like it's been
you're
amazing.
happy. Yeah.
Right? And so we're happy. And I also tell people, obviously reviews online, everything is so digital and social now. I mean, before you lease from somebody, check the reviews out.
Oh
Don't get
yeah.
on Facebook and see one post and hey, I got a rice field. Again, same thing with an outfitter. If there's a good rice field for lease this time of year, you better run as far as you can the other direction.
Yeah, because you're probably not gonna get on any for sure. So I mean, you don't have to tell us your exact duck calls, but you did say you're a big public land hunter. Where is your go-to spot as far as what area? You ain't got to give us exact
Well,
details, but
and here's the duck hunting's got so like secretive, like it's all public land,
hmm
man. And the good thing about the sport is the camaraderie, and that's how I've met some of my closest friends, right?
yeah,
So I've never been one of those like, oh my gosh, here's my hole. I've never, because I guarantee you somebody else knows my hole as well.
oh yeah,
you
for
know
sure.
but there's 2 places in the state. Big Lake up in Blyville is very good. When the water's right, it fluctuates so much though because it's fed off the Mississippi. And so you'll have about 5 or 6 days to where it's knee high all the way through the property. It's good. And then once it gets deep, you're either hunting out of boats or there's one side of it that you can find a couple ridges that run through there that you can still stand. Unfortunately, growing up in Arkansas, we used to have blinds in there. Used to have big blinds, heaters, TVs, recliners, and we would have a bunch of out-of-staters that would come in, and
Luxury.
we would let them hunt with us. Well, the problem is there are a lot of people that don't like that, and so
Yeah.
what happens is you had arguments, fights, and so the Arkansas Game and Fish made everybody burn their blind down. So now you can't hunt out of a man-made blind in there, other than if
hmm
you were in a boat. So it's changed the game. The second piece is the White River. Anywhere in the White River, especially southeast Arkansas, when it gets above the banks, it's truly magical. It holds probably more mallards than anywhere else in the state. So those two are probably my top go-to. Now I'm fortunate, I hunt a lot in the middle of the week, so I can go to
So there's
some of the
less traffic.
less traffic. Now WMA is like Big Lake. I only get so many days a year because technically
hmm
I'm out of stater now, right?
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of not buying my lifetime license back in the day. So if you're listening to this and you have kids, buy their lifetime license. But yeah, so those are probably my two spots.
Two go tos. Yeah. And I haven't hunted any Arkansas public land just yet. Like I said, I've been up there several times on leases, and I went on a few guided hunts up there and everything. And I was talking to a guy yesterday on the podcast, and he was saying, that he actually goes up there, and he's like, you hear those stories all the time about people's tires getting cut, and he was like, well, I was actually one of those guys that got tires cut, and he was like, which I'm sure it does happen. And what we was talking about is the problem with it is you get a lot of these really, really, really young guys that don't know anything, don't know what they're doing, and they don't want to ask anybody for help, and they want to go up there and show off show off, and it gives a bad rap for everybody else. And you being technically an Arkansas native, but now you live out of state, you can kind of give us some feedback on what you see up there.
Yeah, the horror stories that you hear about unfortunately happen, right? So I've got Mississippi tags now,
hmm
and I'll be honest, it's a concern. When I go to Big Lake or wherever I hunt now, I typically hunt with somebody that is from Arkansas, right? That's how you get
Yeah.
around it. Right? You leave your out of state tag somewhere else, and it's sad that it's gotten that way. But it typically is younger individuals that are just causing causing a storm up in, just for no reason. And
Yeah.
so, the warden presence has grown. I think they're watching these areas a little bit more. But the sad thing is, I think eventually, and this is speculation, but I could see where it goes to a draw system just to manage the amount of people that
They
go
do.
into these locations. And if
Mhm.
you look at it now, I think it has the reverse effect, because used to, people could go and take their vacation in the middle of the week, and the majority of the people would hunt the weekend, and so the middle of the week was very calm. Well, in some locations now, these out-of-staters take their week of vacation a year, that whole week, so every single day it's like opening day,
Yeah.
trying to vote. So I think it's had some reverse effect. It'll be interesting to see which way they go.
Gotcha. Yeah, it will be interesting. Which this came up. I started tracking it. I've been hunting for 10 years now, but and it really came to my attention probably 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, is when everybody was really talking about it. And it may have been longer than that. I'm not sure, but it is like, as an out of state or as an oozer, people would say, that's kind of, we've thought about it, and we was like, well, we could run into some trouble, and I know guys up there that would take me, or would take us. So, I wouldn't never want to go in there blind, because that's one thing I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about the public land. I don't know the layout. I know where stuff's at, but as far as that goes, that's as much as I know. And that's what I would tell anybody that doesn't know anything about up there, or all the out of staters giving everybody a bad rep. Don't be afraid to ask somebody for pointers, and especially when you're hunting other people's land. I get it, as from a local's perspective. I get it. It's quote unquote their land. I mean, they live there, respect it. Don't go hooping and hollering. And anybody, if they even would think about it for just a little bit, they could kind of understand that. We are coming 5, 6, 7, 8 hours away to hunt this state. Let's at least try to take care of it, not try to cause any problems. So that's just my take on it, and which everybody doesn't agree that see that way. They just, all they care about is getting there first, killing as many ducks as and going home. That's it, and it's a lot. It's a lot more than that. So
Yeah,
that's
well,
why.
and I tell people again, if you're in the business of killing limits, like, unless you find a big pile of shovelers out there somewhere on your field, it's
Mm-hmm.
limits are few and far between,
Oh
right? If
yeah.
you're in it for camaraderie and the experience, like, and at the end of the day, it's not our land, it's not Arkansas's land, it's
Mm-hmm.
God's.
Oh
So,
yeah. You
we should
take care of
talk.
it.
And it's sad that it's gotten the way it is now. But Arkansas and a lot of these states, some of the in-staters may be a little frustrated from time to time, but that's a lot of revenue
Oh,
and brought into these states, right?
for
So
sure,
it's
for sure.
important for these small towns to have that 60 days a year.
And to go back on what you said, if you're in it for limits, you really are in it for the wrong reasons. Because I've had some of the best hunts I've ever been on and not shoot one duck. So some of the
Right.
funnest ones I've been on is not even see anything. And that's some of those is the stories that I'll tell my kids, and my grandkids. So if you're in it for that, you need to really check yourself, to be honest with you. But yeah. So what as an outfitter, as a part-time guy outfitter, what can you what what kind of tip, if you had, like, say, your three top tips you could give anybody, what would they be?
From like a looking for an outfitter, or from like
Like,
just got just
just
hunting.
just from guiding, just from hunting, like, what do you see all the time that people, because a lot of people, whenever they do, what the way I think it, a lot of people that go with an outfitter, they might be new to hunting, don't really know kind of what they're doing. What are some tips for those guys? All the people that's new, what would you give them?
So I'll kind of break it down in two ways. So, like, outfitter wise, again, if you've got an outfitter, and this is not always the case, because you've got new outfitters that
Mm-hmm.
create a business every single year. So this is not to down anybody, because you have to build your book of business. But find somebody that's very reputable. Ask people around if there's an outdoor store close to that city. Call them, figure out who is reputable, right? That's
Yeah.
that's first and foremost, number one. Um, Number two, I always like to know how much property somebody has, because if they're running hunters through there every day and property is not getting rusted, eventually that's going to burn out pretty quick. On the flip side of that, like let's just say you're looking for a lease, or just hunting in general, especially in the state of Arkansas. I spent some time in North Dakota this year, and it kind of brought me back to like ground zero. We spent as much time scouting as
As
we
you
did
did
hunting.
hunting.
Yep. And so we had some really good hunts. I don't know how many we harvested over 3 or 4 days, but I mean, we shot a ton, had a great time, but we put a lot of effort into it. And the first morning we didn't have that good of a hunt because we had landed at like 2 a.m. and we just said, hey, let's go hunt in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't know where we were. So I would say spend time scouting. Don't burn your field out. If it's got birds there, I mean, you are hunting the flyway, but it people will burn them out quick. And then also just look what they do. We've got pits in the middle of these fields, but there are certain times a year that they use tree lines. They don't want to land where that pit is. So you've got to be able to adapt to be where they want to be.
Good advice. Very, very, and the biggest part is a lot of people, you got to find them before you shoot them. So that's the biggest thing is, you got to know where they're at, know where they're going, and they're you got to kind of pattern them. So, that's what I tell a lot of new guys is they'll go out and, they'll they'll say, oh, well, this spot should be good just off hearsay, and they don't go look, they just go hunt it. And I'm like, well, you boys, you gotta you gotta do a little work to get the rewards. That's what I would tell everybody. So do you? I know you just got, you do hunt all over the states. Do you still, you did say you just got back from North Dakota. Are you planning on hunting anywhere else this year, or are you going to stay kind of at your duck club in Arkansas guiding?
Yeah, we'll spend the most time in Arkansas. I've got a friend that's got a lodge right on the Arkansas Missouri border, so we typically hunt with those guys once, maybe twice a year. Then I've got a lot of guys out west, Oklahoma, that typically we try to make one trip. It doesn't always happen, but the bird numbers out there the last few years have been insane, right?
Yeah.
Especially so it's been a fun place to go and chase them. But typically, I like to start up north, either Canada. This year it was North Dakota. I'll hunt Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Louisiana, potentially. That's always a hit or miss. Typically, that's more of an early till season.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Over the last few years, big ducks late season, it's been pretty good as well.
Yeah. And I was talking to, Clay Morgan the other day on here, and he hunts a lot of Arkansas. He's actually from, northeast Louisiana, but he hunts majority public in Arkansas. And me and him was having a conversation about how it seems like all the ducks are seem to shifting from the Mississippi out to the Midwest. What's your what's your insight on that, being hunting everywhere? What'd you see in North Dakota and all that stuff? Like, what?
I'll say that there's a lot more food than what
Mm-hmm.
we have in the state of Arkansas now. Farming has become so efficient that there's not a lot of food left. And
Yeah.
look, I'm not a farmer. I appreciate farmers, and I know that it's real easy to prep your field for the spring, right? It saves them time. They're disking more fields under. Burning has become a big habit here in the last few years, and actually, there's people on both sides of the fence saying burned rice fields are actually really good because it doesn't allow your crop to be eaten out so quick
Yeah.
versus just leaving stubble, etc. So I've seen the farming habits change. Then if you look up and you hear all the heated pond rumors and everything else, ducks have to make an effort to come this far south anymore because they've got everything at their disposal unless there's a big snow that covers
Mm-hmm.
their food. I mean, ice is one thing, but snow is really what it takes to move everything
To move
south.
out.
Yeah,
Which,
and if I look at Oklahoma, like I grew up, hunting that area. That there's a lot of good public land that does not have near the pressure. Now that's slowly increasing.
mm-hmm.
Uh, it's not the same type of pressure that you get, obviously, in Arkansas.
Yeah, which y'all should be in pretty good shape because I mean, if you watch the weather recently, everybody knows that the northern plains is going to get pretty much covered in snow at the end of the month or first of next month. So that's going to be I would think that would put a big push in the birds coming down here or coming to Arkansas, Oklahoma, and all places like that. So,
Yeah.
So that should be good for you. And which Alabama, so we always open up 1 week after Arkansas. It's usually the day after Thanksgiving we open up, but we really don't, which it's not the best by far. We're not the best state to come hunt. I mean, we get a few ducks here and there, but we usually don't see a push to like late December, mid to late December anyway. And all that's got to, depend on weather conditions. But I am interested to see how this year plays out with the the farming tactics that Arkansas is using. And Clay, he was talking about, because he's in the ag industry, he was talking about they use precision farming, and for one, they get more grain out of the ground, which is, I mean, it's a bad thing for duck hunters, but it's not a bad thing for the farmer. And he said they also do you have these fields that's on 1% grade, so they don't even hold water as much as they used to. So that's got another factor in it. But I am curious to see how after this first push, how many birds we will start seeing here compared to the Midwest and all that stuff. So
Well,
it'll.
well, I was just gonna say it's been so dry,
Mm-hmm.
it's we're able to harvest everything pretty early. And let's go back to the burning for a second. I know one of our fields got burned, and we had a couple club members like, man, what, I don't know about hunting a burned field. Well, it doesn't allow the seed time to sprout. Once that
Yeah.
thing sprouts, there's no more food there, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
sprouting again. And so it'll be interesting. I know we're getting a bunch of rain this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Which, look, I mean, I'll take it, because there are a lot of people and a lot of public hunters. Let's talk about, public, that's driving the least cost up too, because think how many people came into the state last year. They slept all week at the boat ramp, and all of a sudden, praying for water. There's no water. You can't
Mm-hmm.
hunt. Some people are getting fed up with that. So what are they doing? They're going to try to lease ground.
Yeah, they're
So
trying to lease.
yeah,
It'll be in.
it's a rich man sport now.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's for sure. We was talking yesterday on how expensive this sport can be, but it will be interesting and to see how much rain you actually do get there, which I have not looked at the radar or looked at it in that way because we're still up in the air if we're going to go or not. We may just wait until after because I don't think he's unless y'all get a lot of rain. I don't think we're going to go try to hunt public this year because I don't think it'll be any sense of it because there's not going to be any water there. But I don't think we're in Alabama. We're not going to get any rain. I don't think whatsoever. I mean, they're saying maybe we may get rain in like 2 weeks, but that's a what if. So, and who knows? Nobody can really say. They can predict it all they want, and you may get a half inch or and it may bring us 6 inches. So I don't know. But anyway, we are running out of time here, so I will do some last closing statements. I'll ask you. I haven't asked anybody this on the podcast yet. What's your go-to waterfowl setup as far as guns, gear, all that stuff?
Okay. Well, I'll have to cover this Sika up in a second. I'll tell you that story. But
Yeah.
so gun wise, Super Black Eagle. I've always been between a Benelli and Browning, so I've gone back and forth. I had the A5 Wicked Wings for a while, and then my wife actually she probably loves to hunt as much as I do. She's into the waterfowl industry now. She's got her own social media firm called Engage Social Media or Engage Waterfowl. So she surprised me one day. I came home from a basketball game and she goes, "Hey, your gun's bent. Something happened to it." So I pulled it out of the case and it was that Super Black Eagle. So I'm a big Super Black Eagle fan. I picked a winner for my wife for sure. But
Sounds
gear
like it.
gear wise, I've kind of been all over the place because I haven't had any sponsorships or pro staff or anything like that. And so I was with Drake for a while. I wore all their stuff. I went to Banded. Alan Hughes is a good friend of mine. Their CEO, and then I've worn Sika for probably the last 3 or 4 years, and I didn't believe in it. I was like, I'm not going to spend that much money, and then all of a sudden, I bought some gear, and
It's
it's
good
been great.
stuff. Yeah, it's good
Yeah,
stuff.
but I've been lucky and blessed. I've been talking to Drake about their pro staff, and so I could be making the move to Drake here pretty quick. If you guys have not checked out their waders are actually phenomenal. They've come a long way. They put the
Hmm.
elastic up here by the armpits for flexibility. The straps are much better. And so I'm excited about that. But that's, from a decoy standpoint, dive bomb. I run a ton of silhouettes, goose
Do you?
hunting. Love dive bomb. They're easy. From a floatable decoy, as long as it has a green head,
You're
I
good.
good.
That's good. Yeah, and to go back to the waders, so I used to run Drake all the time. That's all I wore, and then I which not knocking Drake waterfowl whatsoever. I love their products, but I've had countless pairs over the years, and you can get a solid 3 or 4 years out of it unless you just do something stupid and rip them, which it happens. But I actually made a switch to Gator waders last year, and they've been so far I've been happy with them. I only got 1 year in, but so far I'm happy with them. And I'm like you, I don't have a specific brand. I'm mixed up. Like I still got the old Drake 3-in-1. Love that thing. I've had that thing for probably 5 or 6 years now, and I absolutely love it. So I still use it today. So, um, but I'm in the same boat. I shoot Beretta or Rite. I got both. The Rite and the Beretta. I love both of them. Um, and then as far as what about shell wise? What do you shoot?
Man, I just got done shooting Boss in North Dakota, and I will have Boss with me at all times.
Really?
It was insane. I mean, these mallards were doing somersaults out of the air with 3-inch number fives. So
Wow.
we had a good hunt with those. Um, I used to shoot Kent. I started running into problems with either not ejecting or not firing at all. So
Yeah.
I ran Kent for a long time, but definitely Boss will be in the bag
Be
this
your
year.
go-to now. I have heard a lot of things about Boss. Personally, I've never shot him. Almost went with him last year, but I had some. I've been shooting heavy metals for the past 2 years now. I used to shoot Ken as well, but and I still got some cases left over from heavy steel. So I'll finish those up, and then I may make a change. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens. I've been happy with them, um, but anyway, buddy, we're almost out of time. Any closing statements as far as Instagram, all that? I know you said your wife has an Instagram now. Just give them all your socials, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Yeah, so let me pull everything up. I used to have one social. Now it's
Now you
there's
got 10 of them.
million of million of them out there. But just from a Facebook standpoint, you can just look me up, Eric Gibbs. It's a picture of me, a dog, and a mallard. So if you miss that one's pretty easy to miss, or pretty easy not to miss. Our duck club is Whispering Willows. Very easy. It's got a picture. It's the background of the state. Got some ducks flying. So um, Whispering Willows Duck Club. You can find us there. And then Engage is my wife's business, Engage Waterfowl Media, or Engage Social Media. So if you're in the industry, or if you need somebody to run your social media, she's great at what she
So
does.
she does a lot of marketing, pretty much.
Yeah, kind of all the above, right? She can do marketing, she can handle social media, she can handle even HR stuff. Like she's got a very diverse background. So, but she's great at what she does, and really enjoys the photography piece. And in fact, she takes a gun, but I think she shoots more with her camera than her gun. So,
Hey, somebody's got to get the pictures.
that's right. But no, we're looking forward to a good season. It's been a long but quick summer, I guess.
Hmm.
And that's sort of an oxymoron, but I play a lot of golf too, so that kind of gets me through the
Oh
summer.
yeah.
That kind of held me over. But I've got the itch. I used to deer hunt a bunch, but now it's pretty much all foul. So
Yeah, same here. I've I I may bow hunt until duck season starts, and then I'm done. I'm just ducks from now on. But yeah, duck season's kind of like Christmas. It gets here before you know it, and then all of a sudden it's there. So, and we're counting down. I mean, just a few days. Actually, this weekend is spec season in Arkansas, and then just a few more weeks, it'll be time to get after them and go hard to the paint. So, but hey, Eric, it was a pleasure having you on. I appreciate it. We'll have to do it again sometime. And everybody out here watching or listening, go follow the man. If you need any questions, I'm sure he'll be right there to help you. And check out his wife's Instagram as well if you need anything. But I appreciate everybody for watching, and we'll see you later.
thanks all.
See ya.